It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Lock her up. 3 simple words that defined an era. The rallying cry of a movement that claimed to cherish national security above all else.
We must maintain law and order at the highest level, or we will cease to have a country. I am the law and order candidate.
For years, we watched Republicans transform Hillary Clinton's email server into the greatest threat to American democracy since Benedict Arnold. And now, well, the chickens have come home to roast in spectacular fashion. As I covered recently, the Trump administration just executed perhaps the most embarrassing security breach in American history, accidentally adding a journalist to their secret war planning group chat. But today, I want to focus on the breathtaking, mind-numbing hypocrisy of all of this. Just to quickly recap though, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz created a Signal chat called Hoofy PC Small Group that included Vice President J.D. Vance, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and several others. They used this commercial app to discuss specific details about imminent airstrikes in Yemen, targets, weapons, timing, everything needed to execute a military operation. All of this while they had accidentally added Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor of The Atlantic, to the chat. Yeah, nobody noticed the journalist in their war planning group where they were using Signal for days, and they didn't notice even days after the strikes were carried out, exactly as discussed. And these same people, these exact same officials who just committed perhaps the most egregious security breach in recent memory, maybe ever, spent years telling us that mishandling classified information deserves prison time. The receipts, as they say, are in, and they are damning.
Nobody was texting war plans.
So you've probably seen it already. That is Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth responding to the Atlantic expose. Nobody was texting war plans, he insists. A flat, drunken denial that directly contradicts reality, and even the White House's own admission. The administration has confirmed the messages are indeed authentic, saying that they're reviewing how an inadvertent number was added to the chain. We know that they were discussing targets, weapons, and timing of military strikes because Jeffrey Goldberg was right there in the chat watching it happen, and because the strikes occurred exactly as described in those messages. But the real story isn't Hegseth's denial, it's what he said years ago about Hillary Clinton.
Put lives at risk and you can get people killed when you do that.
Oh, do tell us more, Pete.
If there was anyone other than Hillary Clinton, they would be in jail right now.
Would they, Pete? Would they really? Because you just leaked actual military operations to a journalist and you're still walking free.
That motherfucker got away with that shit.
Funny how full-blown national security scandal becomes nobody was texting war plans when you're the one caught red-handed. The hypocrisy doesn't stop with Hegseth. Let's check in with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Yes, another member of the infamous Signal chat, who had plenty to say about Clinton's email practices.
She was less than truthful about it, repeatedly. And it goes to the issue of both competence and credibility. It is irresponsible for an elected official in her capacity to be discussing highly sensitive things on a format that she had to have known was not fully secured.
Irresponsible, Marco? You mean like discussing literal bombing plans on a commercial messaging app? That kind of irresponsible. And here's CIA Director John Ratcliffe, another member of the infamous Signal chat.
I think it's why many of us felt that there should have been a prosecution started with respect to Hillary Clinton regarding classified emails.
So let me just get this right, man. You're saying prosecution for Hillary, but total silence when it's your team committing infinitely worse security violations. Then there's National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, the architect of this security catastrophe.
When you have the Clinton emails, when you have the fact that the sitting National Security Advisor, right now Jake Sullivan, was sending and laundering classified documents into an unclassified server on top of the fact that the sitting president of the United States admitted he had documents in his garage that you're going in and out of.
Laundering classified documents, Mike. That's your characterization of what Sullivan did. Damn, what would you call creating a Signal chat group for war planning and then accidentally adding a journalist to it? What, is that a happy little accident? Let's put this all into perspective. This is mad, people, right? It's why I'm making these videos. It's why I've made this channel. This is mad what we're living through. Hillary Clinton used a private email server that was at least encrypted, password protected, and not accessible to the public. Trump's team used a commercial app to share actual military strike plans, accidentally added a journalist to the conversation, and never even realized that he was watching everything unfold. And they did this after lambasting Hillary for the better part of a decade. And here's what makes this even more damning, right? Hegseth announced a crackdown on leaks just weeks before this incident, telling staff they might even have to go through polygraph tests. Polygraph tests, by the way, are pseudoscience. They don't work. They're nonsense. But why am I not surprised that he thinks that that's a good idea? The irony of all of this would be hilarious, and it kind of is. But it's also so incredibly dangerous. Now here is just class, right? What was Hillary Clinton's response to this spectacular display of incompetence? It was just 6 words. You have to be kidding me. No, Hillary, they're not kidding. They're just pathologically incapable of living by the standards they impose on others. Let's be absolutely clear, because I can hear some people moaning in the comments. I'm not suggesting that Hillary Clinton's email setup was ideal. It wasn't. It was bad. But the MAGA righteous fury about it was performative, a political weapon, nothing more, vacuous, no principles. We know this because when faced with an objectively worse security breach, one that exposed actual military operations in real time, these same firebrands suddenly forgot all their principled concerns about classified information, about protecting the troops. Their silence tells us everything we need to know. This isn't just about scoring political points, it's about exposing a fundamental rot at the heart of political discourse. It's about a movement that never actually cared about national security or classified information. They only cared about weaponizing these concepts against their enemies. And now that they've been caught in a security breach that makes Clinton's email server look like it was protected by the entire Navy SEAL Team 6, they expect us to what? Just move on.
Nobody was texting war plans.
Keep denying reality, Pete. Keep pretending you didn't just commit the exact offense you wanted to imprison Hillary Clinton for, except far worse. Much, much, much worse. Ask yourself, if Hillary Clinton had accidentally added a journalist to a group chat planning military strikes, what would Pete Hegseth have said? What would Marco Rubio have called for? What would Trump rallies have chanted? We all know the answer. The tragedy isn't just the hypocrisy, it's that we've become so numb to it that it barely registers anymore. But we shouldn't and we will not let this one slide. We should hold those people accountable to their own standards, the ones they were so eager to force upon others. If mishandling classified information was a disqualifying offence for Hillary Clinton, what does this mean for Hegseth, Waltz, Rubio, and the rest? If her emails justified years of investigations and calls for imprisonment, what should the consequences be for leaking actual war plans? The answer, of course, is nothing. Because accountability is only for their enemies, never for themselves. They're the party of law and order, don't you know? They care about meritocracy. They're not corrupt. They're not the swamp. No, it's the Democrats. But I will leave you with some good news, because it's rare that I can give you good news at the moment. While we keep seeing Republicans signing off with happiness and glee on the many atrocities of the Trump regime, at least on this one, the polls show that they're taking it seriously. 60% of Republicans say that it's a very or somewhat serious problem that Trump officials shared military plans with a journalist in a chat app. Would you look at that? Some common ground. Finally! That's what we need. Wake America up again.